And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson. Today we've got another edition of Fraud or Not. We're also going to be pitching how would we fix 2 terrible franchises in the NFL, and of course, best bets for the week. Sean, before we get there, can you share with our listeners a quick word from BetOnline?
Yeah, I'd love to. It was nice getting back home for Thanksgiving and having my dad brag to me about all the big bets that he hit because he has the money to put down more than $10 on a wager, and then that means the return is better. If you find yourself to be somebody with a good job or somebody that likes to take a little more risk than me, you can go to BetOnline, find the earliest odds to in-game live betting. BetOnline is going to provide you with all the constant real-time odds and actions, so you can make a bet that wins more than 10 of mine do cumulatively over a month. They have the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, boxing. Got a ton of big college football games this weekend. I know you're going to be glued to the TV. Might as well throw a little dough on it at BetOnline. Head to the website today to see why BetOnline is America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.
All right, Sean, let's start with another game of Fraud or Not. We have been going through NFL and college teams. This week, we're just going to do NFL because the college season has been relatively decided of who is legit or not. I want to start with the Seattle Seahawks, who have been a surging team, potentially could win the NFC West. They're coming off of a win against the New York Jets this past week. Where do you stand, fraud or not?
Seahawks still fraud. I know the Seahawks are on a 3-game winning streak, but it's going to matter to me who they actually lost to versus who they actually won against. The last 3 they won against a very depleted 49ers squad. The Cardinals, they only put up 6 points, and if the Cardinals have a weird offensive day, they can only put up 6 points. And then the Jets are absolutely awful, but their losses, bad loss to the Bills, they lost to the Rams, they lost to the New York Giants, we'll call that the weirdo one, and then they also got stomped out by the Lions. They're good enough to beat the bad teams, but if I'm looking at the Seahawks and seeing the discourse of the Seattle Seahawks, which is, oh, watch out for Seattle, oh God, they could make a deep run with Geno. No, they can't. They're not that team yet. Their defensive pieces they picked up in the draft are very good. They're very talented. They're a year away and really realistically still a quarterback away. Even though Geno had the funniest post-game tweet that I have seen from a player in a long time, showed up to my biggest hater's funeral, just to make sure he was dead when referencing the Jets. He's got the swagger. He's been good, but we have not seen, he's not Geno Smith of 2 years ago. He's not Geno Smith of last year.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. They are merchants of dominating against bad teams on their schedule. Getting stomped out by the Lions is freaking concerning to me. The bigger part as well, and also losing by 21 to the Bills is a problem, but the bigger part as well, the fact that over this stretch of games where they've beaten the Jets, they've beaten the Cardinals, and they've beaten the 49ers, their offensive output has not been good. We're talking about games where they're just producing enough points, enough yards. You mentioned Geno. I think he's fine. I think he does a good enough job to get everything accomplished, but it just feels like this offense is 3/4 of the way there. Is this good enough to beat the bad teams on your schedule? Absolutely. But is it good enough for you to win in this upcoming stretch where you've got to deal with the Cardinals again, which you'll probably beat, but you got to take on the Packers, you got to take on the Vikings? I think that there is going to be too much juice from their opponents for them to be able to keep up with. They're a year away from being really actually capably good because they've got the bones of a great defense, just do not have the playmakers on offense to throw up the yards in order to be a premier team, which is why they've been pretty middling this year. Another team that's been middling, Sean, the Houston Texans. Do we think that they're fraud or not? They've been a little bit slow. They get a bit of a bounce back this past week. I'm taking fraud. I like CJ Stroud a ton, but it feels like because of the overhype from the offseason in last year, we have jumped down into this world where we've got to believe that the Texans are supposed to be the premier team in the AFC or one of the premier teams. They're 3 steps away from getting there. Their defense isn't all the way there. Their offensive line 1,000% isn't all the way there. That is the biggest part for me. If you can't protect your premier quarterback that looks fantastic, you're not going to be able to win these tight contested games against your best opponents. So I'm taking fraud with Texans.
I still have Texans as not fraud. Have they been dicking around the last 2 games? Yes, they have.
Dicking around a little bit longer than that.
I gotcha, but here's what I like. When they needed to play up to a good team, since about week 6, they have. They only lost to Green Bay by 2. We know they've stomped people out. They only lost to Detroit by 3, and that was when Detroit was at their absolute hottest, and maybe Detroit's still even hotter now. The Texans still have the quarterback in C.J. Stroud. They still have the coach in DeMeco Ryans. If Joe Mixon gets over 100 yards, I don't know if anybody can beat them in a game because they have the passing, they have the running. Nico Collins is emerging as a near elite wide receiver in the NFL, so they do have the talent. They're still finding their footing, though. I don't have them on frauds. I just have them as we are messing around because we know we're going to make the playoffs. And I don't think they're fraud because they've already been heavily criticized for C.J. Stroud and all their losses when C.J. Stroud went to Tokyo this offseason saying, hey, buddy, you should have studied the playbook a little more instead of messing around with Micah. So he's already gotten his taste of the medicine from the fandoms and the Twitter avatar.
See, that part's
stands.
dumb. Like, don't criticize him for enjoying himself in the offseason. Criticize the Texans for not getting him proper protection because he's getting his ass eaten alive.
So I think that if I'm going karmically, they are not frauds because nobody is sitting here saying, oh, God, Texans still Super Bowl favorites. It is Texans still expected to make the playoffs, still a team I wouldn't want to play.
So I'm looking at it a different lens than you are. I'm saying fraud from the preseason expectations. You're going from where everybody's come back down to reality. I think that they're just barely going to squeak in. They'll be one of the because they're going to win their division because their division's horrible, which was hilarious because so many people were saying that the AFC South had so much upside that it was going to be so competitive and fun. It's
worst team of the AFC South should be bumped for the XFL winner. The UFL winner. That is what we should have. UFL winner, you get to join the AFC South. We can't have this anymore.
All right, so we're going to introduce a new segment where we're going to attempt to fix a team that is just awful. So we're going to try and do like 1 or 2 a week. The caveat with this is that we're not going to do like, here are all the 10 moves that need to be done. You get 2 to 3 chess piece moves here, and it's how you're going to set up this team to succeed. Let's start with the New York Giants. This is my team. If I were to fix the New York Giants, the first most important thing is make sure you have the first overall pick, damn it. Don't win any games that you're not supposed to. I've already stood on top of that soapbox. I'm not doing it again. Finish with the first overall pick. You draft Shedeur Sanders. You get all of this awesome attention, and you've got the most highly talked about rookie nationally that we've seen in a long time. More than Caleb Williams, more than Bryce Young, anybody that we could think of, there's going to be so much hype. And then I know that a lot of Giants fans, assuming that we fire Brian Daboll this offseason, which it seems like it might be trending in that direction because they look lifeless, a lot of people are going to be like, get us Bill Belichick. I'm not going that route. I want Ben Johnson to be the next head coach of the New York Giants. I'm not playing these games of doing the back and forth. Well, we just had an offensive-minded head coach. Let's go get a defensive-minded one. No, screw that. I want a offensive wizard that has been a part of one of the most dominant teams over the past 2 years. Be smart. Invest in success. Give me Ben Johnson. And then the last part of this is pray to Jesus that Isaiah Bond is available at the beginning of the second round. If not, trade back in and get Isaiah Bond because you need just a little bit more receiving juice.
You're not getting Ben Johnson. You're not good enough for Ben Johnson.
Screw you.
You don't deserve Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson.
He would be stepping into a situation with the first overall pick. I don't want to hear it.
No. He's better than that Giants team. The Giants need an adult at the helm. He should stay in Detroit. That's what he should do.
Again?
Yes. They should pay him $15 million to stay in Detroit as an OC.
Lame.
And after, well, let's see if he gets the Super Bowl this year. If they get a ring, maybe he'll go off and venture on his own. The Giants need an adult in the room. They keep on hiring these fake Bill Belichick coaching tree adults that are just grown man children. It's not working. They need Mike Vrabel. That's who they need. Or they need Belichick. And I know he's been outwardly spoken about not really wanting to go to the Giants. I get it, Bill. But they should go after Mike Vrabel heavy and say, hey, look, we have a good defense for you. We know you. We just need you to have them mature and grow up and play like an actual team because we have the pieces. Secondly, sign T. Higgins. Give Neighbors an absolute wide receiver too. Or sign Stephon Diggs and give him let him teach Neighbors how to be a true toxic wide receiver one.
I hate both of those options. I hate absolutely the Giants signing free. Actually, I hate the premise in general of signing free agent receivers. It is a position that unless the guy is in-house and has been truly dominant, that is overpaid in the free agency market, and it rarely pans out. I'm still reeling over Kenny Galladay. I'm still reeling over Kenny Galladay. I don't want to spend the money on a receiver. I'm drafting another one. I'm hoping that Isaiah Bond is there, who I'm a very big fan of in this upcoming draft class. That they need to just load that receiver room for Shedeur Sanders to produce.
Okay, you got to stop expecting that Shedeur Sanders is going there.
Shedeur Sanders, Ben Johnson.
You're getting Sam Darnold in his return to New York.
Shut the fuck up.
That's what's going to happen. I'm sorry.
If we're the first overall pick and we do that, no.
Joe, you guys are going to win out. I'm sorry to break it to you. You're going to have the 6th overall
We're lucky
pick.
that DeVito is hurt, so he's not going to play. So we got Andrew Luck, who might be one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever watched.
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. What did I say?
Andrew Luck. Yeah, he's now heading up to Stanford.
I wish Andrew Luck was available. God, what a Freudian slip.
I would do anything to have Andrew Luck quarterback my team right now.
Why don't I say Andrew Luck? God, I'm cracking. This has been an awful week. Outside of that, though, I don't think any defensive adjustments need to be made. You guys have been
so solid.
No, hold on. There's no drastic. They've been on the field so much. They're dead. They have no energy. They're awful it's awful that they're so out there so often.
I don't know how it's awful. You drafted 2 blue chip offensive tackles. You found
Evan Neal. Evan Neal needs to go. That's also number one.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think you guys, I don't want Shedeur going to you guys. I think you ruin him.
Shut up.
And I really hope Deion doesn't let it happen. I want him to be playing in a dome, 7-on-7, Vegas style. And then maybe they send T to Vegas. And then it's explosions with Antonio Pierce. That is probably more likely to happen. But the Giants are really bad, so they could end up with that number 1 pick.
All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars. How the hell would we fix the Jacksonville Jaguars? Now, I know that you're going to want to get rid of Trevor Lawrence. I think that Trevor Lawrence is fixable and redeemable. The first thing that I am doing if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars this offseason, I am trading the F back. You are in a position where there are a lot of wild cards at quarterback. If you're picking 2 or 3 or wherever you're picking, let somebody be insanely desperate to get the second best quarterback available. There are not many options after that. Screw them over. Get their entire future. And wherever you trade back, I say you go and get Kelvin Max, or you get Jonas Savanair, Tyler Booker, draft the best available offensive lineman. And I'd even throw this in there, trade back a second time and get Ashton Genty.
Oh, boy. Yeah, you're going to have to get rid of ETN.
Why can't you have both of them?
Well, ETN is no longer, I think, fixable in the NFL.
Yeah,
I think his course is
officially
run out. But first step, you get rid of the Easter Island head, Doug Peterson. He is out of here. I'm sick of looking at his awful visor and his milk gallon-sized cranium. You can't do it. That's a big dome. He's not been effective with Jacksonville. We thought he was going to fix Trevor Lawrence. He can't. Get him out. We need a reset there. Secondly, I am drafting someone who is the opposite of Trevor Lawrence. I'm getting rid of Mac Jones also. Oh, do I want a stable backup that, has NFL experience? Sure, but he's too nice. Get him out of there. I don't want him enabling Trevor Lawrence's bad play and being all buddy-buddy. I want a dickhead. to push Trevor Lawrence and light a fire under him, I'm drafting Quinn Ewers. That's what I'm doing. A possible quarterback of the future.
This is a horrible plan.
A young quarterback that Trevor Lawrence, I think, is better than. Obviously, a better prospect coming out of college, but somebody that's going to push him, young, fiery gunslinger.
What round are you taking him in?
Oh, God. I assume if I was the Jaguars and I'm ending up with the 2 or 3 pick, I'll trade back to 7 or 8, take him in the first round. I think that's where his value would be.
Wait, let me recount what you just said. You just said keep Trevor Lawrence and then draft Quinn Ewers in the first round?
Yes.
You are the worst general manager ever.
I am pulling in Atlanta in Jacksonville. I have a quarterback. I'm drafting
Trevor Lawrence is 25.
He has been sorry.
Pick a lane.
He's regressing. I'll give him another year.
You hate the Jaguars or something? You're just trying to screw them up.
I hate mediocre quarterback play and no changes to it, no adjustments, no improvements. That I haven't seen that from Trevor Lawrence. We're talking about, is he fixable?
But if you're going to do that,
talk about his prime.
But trade him away and then use the capital to build something. I don't know why.
Well, Ewers isn't going to be ready in year 1. I want him to sit. But
why do you think that Quinn Ewers is the solution? Quinn Ewers is not a good quarterback, nor should he be drafted in the first round.
Oh, I think he's got a little bit of juice.
You like Quinn Ewers over Jalen Milroe? Are you on crack?
I very well might. Jalen Milroe, too nice. Jalen Milroe might be too nice for the NFL.
These are all bad takes. I also think Aaron Glenn. I think you need a defensive-minded head coach.
That'd be good.
I really like Aaron Glenn.
Very good.
Or Vrabel. Either of those two.
I don't want Jacksonville is beneath Vrabel. Vrabel needs at least a bigger name. He spent enough time in Tennessee.
I can't.
I'll send Flores. I'll relegate Flores to Jacksonville.
I'm like astounded that was your plan to fix the quarterback situation.
There's not any free agent jerk-off quarterbacks that are going to be mean and they're going to be aggressive. It's a bunch of Jimmy Garoppolos, handsome, strong chins.
Hey, Jacksonville Jaguars, your future GM is sitting next to me.
You wait.
He'll fix your franchise. He will fix your franchise. He'll run into the ground. I think the biggest thing for me, though, Jaguars need to bolster their offensive line. I feel like that's what held them back. There's a lot of defensive pieces, which is why I want to see them go after someone like Aaron Glenn, like a huge presence on defense. Just somebody who is going to be hard-nosed and unlock what should be a bunch of headbangers. That's what they could be.
Yeah, it'd be nice. They do have the pieces. Trayvon Walker has made good strides this year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's had some weird incidents on the field with unsportsmanlike conducts. Josh Hines-Allen is a very good talent on the defensive line also. And I guess they're going to keep Foye Oluokun, who is just a tackles machine. They have the pieces for Aaron Glenn or Flores to come in and write it to get them reinvigorated because Jacksonville's been DOA the last 2 seasons, and they shouldn't be. They should be better. They should be a team that is challenging Houston, not beating Houston consistently, but challenging them, and they are a doormat yet again.
All right, let's get on over to best bets. Starting off with college, this past week we both went 2-1. You're 26-22 on the season for 54%. I am 23-25 on the season for 48%. I tried to indicate, and I don't know if you picked up on this, I tried to indicate that we are allowed to have duplicate picks this week because there's only 9 games.
Yeah.
You chose to go against that.
I don't want any of your bad picks, buddy.
Bold choice. My first best bet of the weekend, give me the Georgia Bulldogs to cover 2.5. Take a money line to win the SEC championship game. Quinn Ewers has been a turnover machine against good teams. He did it against Vandy. Actually, it's insane to phrase it like that. He is a turnover machine against any competent opponent that they've faced. He did it against Georgia. He did it against Vandy. He did it against Texas A&M. He's going to do it again against Georgia. Carson Beck has been playing cleaner football over the past couple of games. And also, I trust Kirby to get the damn job done. Give me the Bulldogs 2.5.
Oh, this just reeks of this whole game reeks. I don't know if Texas shows up. I don't know if Georgia decides to show up. I don't like betting on Georgia because Georgia doesn't show up until quarter 3, 10 minutes into quarter 3. They'll have 2 bad drives.
It's the SEC championship game. That's not happening.
I gotcha. It could happen, though. They are not immune to starting sleepy, but I guess Georgia is America's team this week because Texas had too much undeserved hype. My first pick, Arizona State giving 2 versus Iowa State. Come on, Big 12. Fire me up. Dillingham is a total Chad, and he's got this team buzzing. I no pity for the kitty last week. I loved it. He's firing this Sun Devils team up. Iowa State, Iowa State has been always on fraud watch this year. The offense, they had a miracle against Iowa, and then they just kept on scraping by. A weak Big 12. Let's be honest. It's a weak Big 12. I know they love love playing football. That's great, but they are definitely the fourth strongest out of the P4. Arizona State, someone needs to win it. You're giving me by 2. That's basically a pick 'em. I want the Sun Devils winning the Big 12.
I had Arizona State winning that game, so I am fine with that. Clemson plus 2.5 versus SMU. I can't help but pay attention to the fact that Clemson has played far more challenging games than SMU. We saw that they didn't play great against Georgia at the beginning of the season. They came down to the wire against South Carolina, which was a huge test compared to what they're going to be seeing this week in SMU. Now, Kevin Jennings is a great athlete, he's a great quarterback, but the amount of pressures that they were able to generate on the North Sellers that they weren't able to finish, they will get home in this game. Clemson's going to win. Dabo is going to get another ACC championship game. And we're just going to keep saying, how does he keep getting away with this? And he does it again.
You know, you were telling me this week how much you were turning around on Dabo, and that
no, don't put words in my mouth.
Was that not you?
Don't put words in my mouth.
I thought you were saying that.
No, it's a game pick. It's a game pick. The game pick. Give me your next pick. Gotcha. Stop antagonizing me.
My next pick, Oregon 3.5. Let's make it easy. Oregon has been far and away. They've been a very good team this year, very solid. After the Ohio State win, I saw no need to not have them at number 1. They've got the offensive prowess. The defense is very strong. And Penn State is Penn State no matter where they are. No matter what year they are, they're still Penn State. They're going to fall short. And now they've been gifted an absolute chance to take the next step, to win the Big Ten. When now the big daddies, the big brothers are gone, and we have a new member of this conference. We can go and show what we're made of. They won't do it. Penn State doesn't have the mettle to do this. Do they have the talented running backs? Yeah. Do they have some really, really good defensive players? Yes. Abdul Carter is a menace, but Oregon is a better team, and they're not a bunch of punks like Penn State, led by James Franklin, compared to Dan Lanning, playing insane, Inglorious Bastards clips in the meeting room. It's a different culture in Oregon. They're better than Penn State in just about every way.
Don't mind this pick. Think it could go either way, but Oregon.
I don't love the hook.
Yeah, I don't love the hook there. Boise -4 is my last pick for the Mountain West Championship game against UNLV. It is going to be freezing outside in Boise, Idaho. There is no neutral site for this game. UNLV plays indoors and is in Las Vegas. You think that they're going to be ready to play in 30-degree weather in that frigid-ass air? No shot. Give me Boise to cover the 4.
Love this pick. Boise may smoke UNLV, and then why don't we put them in the top 3 for the CFP? Excited to see that.
I'm not watching the college football playoff if they have their top 3 team. I'm not watching them. I won't watch. I will boycott. I will watch the FCS playoffs. That's it. No, I will not watch Boise State if they're a top 3 seed. I will not watch the playoff.
Oh, man. My final pick here. I'm going Tulane giving 5 against Army. And you know why? I think Army is looking past Tulane, and they're looking at the other heated rival for next week in Navy. Yeah, do we want to win this conference? Sure. But we're not going to the CFP. It doesn't matter. We're Army. But this year, we have 2 service academy teams that are playing outside of their selves. They are insanely good compared to years past where it's just been, all right, we're going to go 3 and out. Maybe we'll convert a third down, have 2 drives on 2 first downs on 1 possession. That's fine. And then we'll punt it away because we're Army or we're Navy. No. Tulane, they're playing for pride. They want to keep it churning. And then I guess if Boise loses, then they want to have a good win and maybe become the G5. Am I missing that? Or are they the next in if Boise goes
I
down.
don't know.
Who even knows?
That is too complicated.
They're trying to give themselves an actual shot. I think Tulane's a good team. They've had a very good year, and then betting on Tulane, personally, I found great success in it. They beat teams that they're better than. I think they're better than Army. Army, I think, got exposed by our Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Shut up.
So I'm going with Tulane in this one.
Army's a merchant of G5 teams, so I just don't know if I love that one. All right, let's move on to NFL. Your boy was successful again this past week, 2-1, 28-11 on the year, 71% completion percentage. Sean, 3-0 last week, still behind me by a large total, 21-17-1 on the season for a ugly, lame 52%. My first bet, I am going to take the Saints to cover 5 versus the Giants. They're starting Drew Lock, not Andrew Luck, like I tried to say earlier. They're starting Drew Lock. I do not believe that the Giants have any juice left. They look lifeless. They look dead. They are a dead body walking. Always bet on the other team in these situations. And I know that the Saints fired their head coach, but Darren Rizzi has these boys rocking, so I'm taking Saints -5.
This is the ugliest game of the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
No matter if my co-host is trying to job me on the records, busted cooking the books again, that gave me a 2-1 record, even though I had a 3-0 weekend.
What are you talking about?
It's fine. I had to change the numbers. You had me at 20-18 instead of 21-17. I had to make a quick fix in the notes for my official record. That's 2 infractions this year, DeLeone. That's 2 of them.
You're making that up.
I promise you.
I didn't do that.
I'm not going to harp on it, but let the listeners know.
What's your pick? I don't
Into.
remember doing that.
Bills given 4 versus the Rams. The Bills have the MVP. The Bills have a defense that is playing insane. They have 2 very good running backs in Ray Davis and James Cook. James Cook, every week you think he can go for 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. Some weeks it's only 1 touchdown because selfish ass Josh Allen keeps on running them in. Whatever, throw a ball and then catch it, and then you get a throwing touchdown and a receiving touchdown on the same play. He's selfish, but he's scoring, and the Rams are good, but they're not great. I thought the Rams by now would have taken the next step and tried to take some actual command in the NFC West. They're not. They're still just in the mud, and they're going to stay in the mud. The Bills are surging past teams and becoming a possible AFC favorite over the Death Star that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Bills giving 4. They need it. They will get it.
My next pick that I'm going to take here, Sean, I am going to go with the Browns +6.5 versus the Steelers. The Browns have been this weird team in the AFC North specifically that is just like randomly kept up with their opponents. Jameis Winston has been so chaotic, and the chaos factor is why I'm betting on them. It's not a lot of good lines this week. This was one of the ones I was like, you know what? Maybe this can happen. 6.5 is a pretty big line. I could see a random 3-4 touchdown performance from Jameis Winston, 4 interceptions, but just like a big game that keeps him in close range.
I like it. I don't know if, you know what, even Tomlin's going to win this game. I don't know if this is just one of those mess around games, ugly one for the Steelers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're going to win, and then just for some reason the Browns are hanging around the whole time.
God, that's a frustrating one. Yeah, all right, that's fine. My next pick, Dolphins given 6 versus the Jets. The Dolphins bad, yeah, but they're not as bad as the terrorists in New York.
That's such a big line.
That are just absolutely horrific. All right, I want the Dolphins at home, not sitting up there in the cold in New York where I'm walking, I'm freezing my ass off, looking like Tom Coughlin in the Path Station every day, looking like an absolute monster. No, we're sitting in Miami. We're going to maybe have Tyreek Hill get a touchdown. We're going to maybe have the running backs get in. Tua, who knows what we're doing with him? Genuinely, I don't know if Tua is good or not. But he could play well against the Jets and look like a good quarterback, and that's what he traditionally does. The Jets are real bad. They're playing for nothing. They're lifeless. This is my Saints -5, basically. I'm going Dolphins.
My last one that I'm taking here, I am going to take the Bucs to cover 6.5 versus the Raiders. I've made a lot of money betting against the Raiders. They stink. They're awful. The Buccaneers need to win to continue to push to win the NFC South. They need to play well. They need to have every bit of momentum coming out of this game. Raiders suck. Plain and simple.
That's your best
Yeah.
line.
6.5. Give me it.
That best bet that I've seen. Raiders are awful. Bucks are good. And
I'm going to say it's the best bet you've ever seen, and I'm
for,
up 20% on you.
for today, that is your best line because the
Uh-huh.
Bucks will win the NFC South. The Falcons will not. My final bet, Lions given 3.5 versus the Packers. A lot of Bills theorem in this one. Lions are just insane. Packers are really good. They are really good, but they're not as good as the Lions. They are not playing with such momentum. I don't know if there's going to if we're going to need medical expertise in that Detroit locker room pregame. We might, because Dan Campbell could give himself a heart attack getting this team amped up to play the Green Bay Packers in December. I'm very certain he could pop a blood vessel in his eye. It doesn't matter. The Lions, the running back duo of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs is enough. They're so good that if you put them on a bad team, they would be in the mix for the playoff hunt. It's an unbelievable season for Detroit. The Packers are going to be a playoff team, but the Lions win by 4 or more.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in on our show this week. I am out of words and thoughts at Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio at Hack City Pod. Call in for the Hack Bag 201-834-4308. Talk to you folks later for the rest of your week.